Hey guys, ChrisFix here. Today I'm going to show you how to change the lower control arm on a car. So as the car is rolling down the road, this is moving back and forth, which is not good for safety, for your alignment, and for wear and tear. So what the control arm does is it connects to the bottom part of the frame. Here's a control arm strut that runs to the front of the frame. And then there's a ball joint back here which connects it to the knuckle. So the knuckle is this metal piece back here. The lower control arm allows movement up and down on that hinge right there for when the tires are moving up and down. So we're just gonna have to unbolt this, unbolt that, and unbolt that, and it'll come right out. So here's everything you're gonna need for the job. Hammer definitely helps to get some bolts out. The screwdrivers help get the control arm off, and also for prying. This is for the strut arm. You're gonna need various size wrenches. This is a 7/8. You need a large ratchet, a breaker bar, 15/16, 18mm sockets. An extension will help get you into those tight areas. An 18mm open-ended wrench, or in this case a close-ended, and then your new control arm, and then that kit comes with all new bolts, and you're gonna have to torque it to the correct specs. So a nice torque wrench. And that's it. So let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is take off this lower control arm strut bolt. This ties in the front of the frame to the lower control arm for more support, since this isn't a wishbone suspension. So when you turn this, what's going to happen is over here, the strut arm is going to turn too. So what you have to do is either get a wrench and put the wrench on here, this flat part right here, or use one of these little adjustable wrenches, which is good because you can really clamp it on there. And you just hold this as you turn this side. Okay. This might be a little bit tough to get off. It takes a lot of strength. You might want to use a breaker bar if you can't get this off. You might want to spray some penetrating oil on here. Okay, good. We got that off. Take off this washer that holds the bushing in. Now that we got the nut off, we're going to undo the ball joint. So you can see there's a nut on this side, and then there's the head of the bolt on the other side. So they're both 18mm. You're going to put a ratchet on one and an open-ended wrench on the other. So on here I'm going to put that 18mm ratchet, and on here I'm going to put the wrench. Just undo the nut with your hand. Got that off. Now that we got the nut off, I'm actually going to put the nut back on, but just a little bit. This will help us hit this out. So I'm going to get a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and you can see there's a cut in here, and I'm going to wedge it in there to try to open that up. You go in here like that, and that'll help wedge it open. Now we're going to hammer the bolt out. Now take that nut off, and then just tap it out the rest of the way. Once you take that nut off, don't hit the end of that bolt very hard because you don't want to mushroom the end, but it should come right out just like that. I'm going to actually hammer this screwdriver in more to open it up. Now take your flathead screwdriver and pry it down. There you go. And you can see I just pried it down. That flathead here is prying that gap open, and since it's prying that gap open, I'm able to get more space in here and just push this down. Now this will come right out. So now we're gonna go to the back bolt here that connects to the frame and undo that. So now we'll take the 7/8 wrench, put it on that nut here so it doesn't go anywhere. Take our 18mm socket on the ratchet and loosen this up. So I'm going to use a breaker bar with that ratchet just because this is pretty tough to get off, and the breaker bar makes easy work of it. Good. Now that it's broke, start undoing the bolt. You can see the fit in here better. I used a extension, and now you could hand loosen this. Just push that bolt through. Good. And now that everything's loose, pretty simple. Push that ball joint down and out. So you can see that ball joint is out completely. So take it out of the frame spot and then wiggle it until it comes off. Okay, good. So now look at this. I already showed you on the car, but I mean I could move this all the way through with my hand. That's definitely not safe. So now let's get the new one, put the new one in. So here's the new control arm. First thing we're going to do is put it into the strut bar and get it into the frame spot. The last thing we'll do is the ball joint. Okay, good. Get it into the spot up here. Good. Okay. Now remember, for the strut bar we have this. It says this side out. So this side gets pushed on here first. And then we had this nut. So find the new nut. Here's the new nut, same exact size. And we'll just tighten it like that for now, just to keep it in place. We'll have to torque it down. Now the bolt back there is this one. Here's the new one. And we want to put it in this way. So let's get it in. Good. Here's the old nut. Here's the new nut. We'll get that on. That's hand tightened. And we'll worry about the ball joint last. So remember, 18mm with the extension to make it easier. And then the open-ended wrench. This is 7/8. I'm actually going to use the closed end. I think that'll be easier. So we're going to snug this down and we'll torque it last. Okay, that's snugged. The next one we're going to tighten is the strut bar nut, which is right down here. If you remember, this is the 15/16. Okay, we'll snug that up, torque that after we finish the lower ball joint. So now we're going to have to try to fit this lower ball joint in to this hole right here. So get your screwdriver, wedge it in like we did before. That'll open up that hole. First we're going to pull it down because we need to move the ball joint so that it's facing similar direction. So you see how now the ball joint's facing up, so this will pull into the hole easier. Just like that, and then you push up. There we go. We want to get our new bolt in and get it ready. Of course, once this goes up, we want to slide the bolt in. I'm just using a rubber mallet to hit the bottom of the control arm so that the ball joint post goes up, and I could just push this in. I'm actually using the screwdriver to help pry it open a little bit more now. As I hit it, it just made things easier. And good. You can see on this ball joint, this is the old one, there's a groove. And what happens is you push it through that hole and the bolt slips in right here. Over here the bolt can't get in, but over here the bolt could slip in. So you need to make sure it's high enough and gets in that groove. And that's what I was doing with the rubber mallet. I was just tapping it up, and I was using the screwdriver to pry that end open so that it slid up easier. Now that it's in, we could screw the bolt in and the nut in and torque everything down. Here's where I was prying with the screwdriver. You can see the screwdriver fits right in here, and it helped open that up so that post right there could fit in better, and then I could get the bolt in. And it worked really well, and now we're going to go tighten this down. Before I forget, we should put on this grease valve for the ball joint. I'm using the old one because, as you can see, my new one is broken. I have the old one, which is still in good shape, so just hand tighten it in. Now you're going to take an open-ended wrench. In this case, it's a 3/8. Just go in here, tighten it down. You want this grease fitting to face outwards, not inwards. Okay, good. So I have it facing outwards. This will work when I have the wheel on. Okay, so now let's go get this nut on and torque everything down. Got our new nut, 18mm. The ABS sensor here prevents the ratchet from getting in cleanly. You don't want to hit this, so I'm going to do it from the other side. And I'll put the open-ended wrench, or in this case closed-ended wrench, right here. Start ratcheting away. Okay, now I'm going to get my torque wrench. This is going to be torqued to 46 to 52 foot-pounds of torque. I'm going to do 50, kind of on the upper end of the scale. Good. The strut bar to control arm is 85 to 97 foot-pounds, so I'm setting it to 95. Good. And finally we have the control arm to frame, which is again 85 to 97 foot-pounds. Good. So now we're all done. Connected to the frame, connected it to the strut bar, connected the ball joint. we're going to check for motion now. So I'm shaking that part that I was shaking before as if the car was driving and hitting a bump or something, and this isn't budging. So now you go for a test drive, make sure it's all good, re-torque it, and you're good to go. And that's how you change a lower control arm. Very simple, basic tools needed. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you like how-to videos, subscribe. I publish new how-to videos all the time. Save you money, save time, and learn something new. And also check out my Facebook and Twitter links. If you use Facebook or Twitter, it'll keep you updated on when I release my videos and when I do giveaways. On the screen, you'll see a few videos. You could click them. The links are also in the description below.